Level 1. The candidate. You're 18. You didn't walk into this by accident. You took the ASVAB and scored high enough that the recruiter stopped talking about surface ships. He slid a pamphlet across the desk. Nuclear Propulsion Program. You read the whole thing that night. You sign the next morning. The Navy sends you to Naval Nuclear Power School in Goose Creek, South Carolina. 6 months. Thermodynamics, reactor physics, electrical theory, radiological controls. The pace doesn't adjust for confusion. Confusion is considered your personal administrative problem. Your class starts with 24 students. 6 are gone by month 3. Not dismissed. Failed. You study from 0600 to midnight, 6 days a week. You pass. Then orders to Ballston Spa, New York, where there is an actual reactor inside a building that looks ordinary from the road. You stand watches on it. Real watches. Gauges that matter. Logs that are legal documents. 6 months later, orders arrive. USS Hartford SSN 768. Groton, Connecticut. You walk down the gangway for the first time. You step through the hatch. The boat smells like oil and recycled air, and something underneath both that you don't have a word for yet. Level 2. The non-qual. You're 20. Non-qualified. Every new crew member on a submarine undergoes qualification before earning their Dolphins, the silver warfare insignia worn on the chest. It is not given with orders. It is earned aboard the boat. You are handed a qualification card listing every system on the vessel, every major component, every watch station. You must locate each one, demonstrate understanding, and collect the signature of a qualified crew member. No shortcuts, no exceptions. The boat is 360 feet long. There are 135 men aboard. Privacy does not exist. You stand watches, study your card between watches, and ask questions of men who are busy and sometimes short with you. A senior chief named Harrow stops beside you one afternoon and points at a fitting on a saltwater line. He asks what it is. You tell him. He asks what fails first on that fitting type. You don't know. He tells you. The next day he asks again. You know. 11 months after reporting aboard, you pass your qualification board. A lieutenant commander pins the Dolphins to your chest in the crew's mess. You have spent 11 months invisible. You are now a submariner. Level 3. The watchstander. You're 23. 2 deployments. The first was 63 days submerged in the North Atlantic. The second was something else. The orders were classified above your level, and the mission was never discussed, and you executed your watch duties without a full picture of what the boat was doing, and that was exactly correct. You are now a petty officer 2nd class. You have your Dolphins. You are assigned a study coordinator for junior watchstanders. The thing Harrow did for you, you now do for the men behind you. You stop at the same fitting on the same saltwater line. You ask the same question. You walk away. The next day, you ask again. Level 4. The Chief. You're 30. The transition to Chief Petty Officer is not a promotion the way earlier ones were. It is a change in function. You are now the standard. Not the person reaching for the standard itself. The junior sailors on your boat look at you the way you once looked at Harrow. This is not comfortable. It should not be. A new commanding officer arrives. You brief him on engineering readiness at his first departmental review. He asks 3 questions. 2 you anticipated, 1 you didn't. You say, "I'll have that for you by tomorrow morning, sir." You have it by 0600. He nods. That is the working relationship for 2 years. Conducted in under 200 words per day. Level 5. The Senior Chief. You're 35. You are now the senior enlisted leader on a ballistic missile submarine, an Ohio-class boat, 17,000 tons. The mission is Deterrence. That word sounds abstract until you see what the boat carries. Then it is not abstract at all. The mission requires that the boat be at sea, be capable, and remain undetected. Everything you do serves those 3 requirements. There is a petty officer 2nd class named Andrade, 22. 3 months into his first deployment, his watch performance is correct. But you have been doing this long enough to recognize a man who is present on the outside and elsewhere on the inside. You pull him into the chief's mess after watch. You don't ask what's wrong. You ask what's in his head. He talks. You listen without offering solutions, because solutions are not what this requires. At the end, you tell him that what he's feeling is not weakness. It is information. It means he understands where he is. He goes back to work. His next watch is the same as the one before, which is exactly correct. Level 6. The Master Chief. You're 41. Fewer than 400 active duty Navy Master Chiefs across the entire fleet at any given time. You advise the Commodore at Submarine Force Pacific Headquarters on training standards, qualification integrity, and the human condition of the enlisted force across 14 submarines. A proposal comes forward to shorten the nuclear training pipeline. The argument is cost and throughput time. The numbers are real. The conclusion is wrong. You spend 3 weeks building the counterbrief, not with emotion, with failure rate data, incident reports, maintenance actions traceable to knowledge gaps. The proposal is sent back for revision. The revision does not include the pipeline changes. You don't record that as a victory. You record it as a maintenance action, preventing a structural failure before it becomes one. Level 7. The Commander. You're 46. You accepted a commission 7 years ago. You command Submarine Squadron 7. 7 fast attack submarines. Their crews. Their readiness. You no longer operate machinery. You operate systems of people operating machinery. A crew comes off deployment with 2 non-judicial punishments and a commanding officer requesting immediate relief from command. You spend 4 days aboard the boat. You speak with the chiefs, the department heads, the junior enlisted in small groups in the crew's mess. You listen. You do not arrive with conclusions. The commanding officer is relieved. A replacement is assigned. You write a personal note to the executive officer who held the crew together during the period when the structure above him was failing. The note says very little. It says what is accurate. Level 8. The Captain. You're 49. You command a submarine squadron of the Pacific Fleet. You brief admirals. You sit on planning councils. Most of what you do lives in conversations that are not logged and decisions that prevent things from becoming the kind of decisions that get logged. The absence of disaster is invisible. You learnt a long time ago that invisible is the goal. Level 9. The Admiral. You're 52. 1 star. You are responsible for submarine readiness across a theater. You brief the Chief of Naval Operations. Your phone receives calls at 3 a.m. You sit at tables where the maps have no labels, because everyone in the room already knows what the shaded areas mean. A young intelligence analyst on your staff identifies a pattern your senior officers missed. She brings it to you because she isn't sure her supervisor will take it seriously. You take it seriously. You elevate it with her name attached. The pattern proves accurate. Someone asks you later why you did it. You don't find the question interesting. An organization that stops rewarding accuracy eventually stops producing it. Level 10. The End of the Line. You're 54. You sit in a chair at the front of a room at Naval Station Pearl Harbor. A retirement ceremony. Yours. Someone reads from your service record. The number of years is specific and long. The list does not include the things you actually think about. The non-qual who became a Master Chief. Andrade, who re-enlisted 3 times. The Reactor event in the North Atlantic handled correctly in the dark, never classified above routine because it was handled correctly in the dark. Senior Chief Harrow retired 12 years before you. He flies from Baton Rouge to be here. He shakes your hand. He looks at the dolphins on your chest and nods once. You have been delivering the same nod to other people for 20 years. You understand exactly what it means. You drive home along the coast. The ocean is visible from the highway. You have spent years inside it, in the dark, under pressure, in silence. You kept the watch. Not because it was required, though it was, because keeping it was the entire job. The boat does not need you anymore. You spent 34 years making sure it wouldn't. Quiet is what a good watch looks like, and you kept a very long one. If you want to stay inside worlds like this one, subscribe, there are more watches to keep.